Hello, I'm here with Belinda and Cindy, and I'm really excited. She's here visiting with Axel and Wesley, and I just wanted to introduce you to Belinda because she has a very powerful testimonial on contracting parasites and how Neolife was really able to get her health back on track. So I'm going to turn this over, and she's going to share a very quick testimonial on how good nutrition and good supplements was able to get her health back.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to share this story because it's such a taboo topic that people are shy talking about, like disgusting, right? Parasites. So I was 22 at the time, and before I caught the parasites, I always ate healthy. Mom always made like awesome meals, and I was pretty athletic. I used to train horses and stuff, and I traveled and studied abroad, and that's where I caught the parasites. But when I came home from my studies, my health all of a sudden started declining pretty fast, and I didn't know what was happening. So just to give you an idea of what was happening, I had like a double-sided sheet of symptoms. I started losing weight, but I started losing particularly muscle mass. So my skin would hang and it would wrinkle in places that you shouldn't see on a 20-year-old or a 50-year-old for that matter. I had massive headaches almost like every other day. I couldn't keep certain food down. I was sleeping for like 12, 13 hours and still couldn't wake up for like a final. I had horrible joint pain. And the list went on and on to the point that I had to get focals. My eyesight went down. I couldn't see the board anymore, or the PowerPoints. And I also was losing my hair and my nails stopped growing. So I was in pretty bad shape, and this all happened within like 6 months. So that gives you an idea. I will also say I lost my menstrual cycle. So my hormones were a mess. So I was chronic fatigue, I was in pain, and I looked horrible. I felt horrible. I nearly failed my last trimester of school. So Mom was kind of trying to help me because she was getting pretty concerned for me as well. And thankfully, she met Cindy in a little local fair, and Cindy sent her home with a few supplements for me to start on. And I want to mention that at that point, I tried anything. I tried supplements before that point. And it was one of those situations where like I was so desperate I was gonna pass my credit card through anything so I could try and get better, because I knew something was so wrong with me since I was only 22 years old. And so I took those supplements without really thinking anything of it. Isn't that sad? Like I wasn't even expecting to get a result, but I was so desperate I took it. And then I went to this presentation to hear information. And that's when I realized I heard a nutritionist talk about, the effects of salmon oil on headaches and on the hormones and all. And then that's when it dawned on me. I was like, my goodness, I hadn't had a headache ever since I started the supplements, and it really wasn't that long. It was like 3 weeks after. So it was so fantastic because my energy was so low that I couldn't even think of going to the gym and trying to rebuild my health, because I skipped the part here. But what happened is I was diagnosed by a naturopath, and she actually documented me because I had over 5 different kinds of parasite. It was really bad. I literally was dying. I was being eaten up alive. My digestion was just a mess. Everything was off. And I went through 6 months of purging and cleansing and detoxing, and that was itself so unhealthy, but I literally had to starve myself so I could starve the parasite. And so you can imagine like I went through like depression and chronic fatigue going through all that, but it was the only way, right? Because the doctors weren't telling me what was wrong with me. I actually brought stool samples. This is disgusting. I'm so sorry, but I'm just going to share it openly. I brought stool samples with spaghetti in it just to say it like it is to the hospital, and they wouldn't accept it. And then they would take samples and they would lose it. They would say it was null. And the medical system nowadays were just not equipped to diagnose this. So I would be sent home with prescription after prescription for all the symptoms that presented themselves, but nothing was actually diagnosing me or helping me get better. So it was a really dark time for me where I was so desperate, and I'm so thankful to have found Neolife, not just because it got me, it's what allowed me to find my health back after I'd gotten rid of the parasites, but it's also what's allowed me to, feel like I'm having healthy pregnancies and my energy is back. I've gained back my health and more. I went on to competing. I was one of the first athletes to do raw food bodybuilding, and I felt amazing the whole time. And that was only 1 year after I recuperated from the parasites. So I've been taking these supplements ever since, and I want to say this. I take those knowing my body receives it as food. And I don't have to worry if I'm pregnant, and I don't have to worry if I'm breastfeeding, which I have been either or for the past 3.5 years now. And if it wasn't for those supplements, I don't know how I'd be feeding myself sufficiently to keep up with these chunky monkeys.
Awesome. So give Cindy a big hug. Yay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.